everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, back again with another news update from today in the world of wrestling. We're going to talk about why Becky Lynch hasn't been wrestling despite being apparently cleared from her concussion, which she of course sustained when she was punched in the face by Nia Jax during the invasion of Raw prior to Survivor Series. Doesn't that seem like a long time ago? But that's not all. We're also going to talk about a certain New Japan Pro Wrestling star who is on WWE's radar, allegedly. Specifically Triple H's radar, because apparently the game is quite a big fan of this man. We'll also talk briefly about some other names that WWE seem to have lined up as well for the new year. And finally, we're going to talk about the main event, or the presumed main event, of NXT TakeOver Phoenix just prior to the Royal Rumble, which was revealed this week on NXT TV. If you haven't seen it, you're about to find out. Let's get into it and let's take a look at all of the news. So let's start off with that news about Becky Lynch, because Dave Meltzer in today's Wrestling Observer newsletter was talking a little bit about why Becky Lynch hasn't yet taken part in a match since she was injured by Nia Jax. Now, apparently she has been cleared from the concussion that she sustained during that sort of quite stiff blow to the face, but she hasn't yet been cleared due to the fractured nose that she also suffered, the one that WWE have been reporting as a broken face. That hasn't been sorted yet, even though she has been cleared from the concussion. However, I think we can feel pretty optimistic about Becky Lynch returning to action soon enough. She has been well enough, of course, to take to the ring and take part in several promo type segments and that sort of thing, but this is apparently why she's been kept away from any action. You might recall this week on SmackDown, she didn't get really involved in the whole Charlotte Asuka stuff. She bailed from the ring long before that kicked off. But I think, yes, we can be hopeful for her return soon, pretty much because she's booked to defend her title at TLC, and that's only about a week and a few days away, about 10 days, so I think that's a pretty clear sign that she should be good to go pretty soon with any luck. She is of course scheduled to defend her SmackDown Women's Championship in that TLC match, the first ever Women's TLC match against both Charlotte Flair and Asuka. We haven't seen Becky actually wrestle an official match since early November in England, where she defeated Nikki Cross on SmackDown Live, but of course she did take part in that aforementioned invasion of Raw, which did lead to the blow which made her sustain that injury. So there's two ways of looking at that, really, isn't there? Because yes, it was a bad mistake from Nia Jax, and yes, it did cancel Becky Lynch's hotly anticipated match against Ronda Rousey at Survivor Series, but on the other hand, it'll probably be looked back upon as an iconic moment in Becky's career, with the blood streaming down her face while she stands in the crowd all defiant and everything. So I think it's a bit of a double-edged sword. It's good for this reason, it's bad for that reason, but ultimately she should be back in action soon. Let's stick with the Wrestling Observer newsletter briefly, because they've been reporting that apparently Triple H and WWE are very interested in a New Japan star. He appears to be on their radar, and it might not be quite who you're thinking of, because when I say rumoured New Japan stars maybe going to be scouted by WWE, you'll immediately think, the ones they've been courting for a while now, reportedly, such as, Kenny Omega, the Bucks, maybe a Cody return, that sort of thing. But recently, with all these rumours of those guys, the Elite, setting up their own promotion, it's actually one of the other New Japan stars that WWE seem to have targeted. It's Kushida. Kushida is, of course, one of the best wrestlers in New Japan, I think it's fair to say. He's also the ace of their junior division. He's the man who's traded excellent wins and losses with the likes of Ospreay, Skrull, Takahashi, and many others as well earlier in his run as the top dog of the division. He is wonderful. I'm a big fan of his. He, of course, won the WCW Pro Wrestling World Cup, which I was happy to be a part of. And yeah, he's just an all-rounder, a real all-rounder. Yes, he's in the junior division, but he's not just a high flyer. He's great at submissions and technical sort of stuff. He can strike with the best of them as well. He's just a true all-round excellent wrestler, and regularly, I guess, and I'm guilty of this too, is one of the best wrestlers in the world who doesn't get talked about that often as one of the best wrestlers in the world, but I think he certainly is. He'll be a great asset for WWE in theory, but as we've seen with the likes of Hideo Itami, formerly known as Kenta, it's not necessarily the best career move historically for guys from Japan to come over to WWE and expect to become a massive success. I guess Shinsuke Nakamura came close. He obviously won the Rumble and got that title match at WrestleMania against AJ Styles, but he then lost and has never really been the same since. Yes, he turned heel and earned a little bit of a boost of momentum because of that, but again, it never really went anywhere. Were Kushida to come across, I'd really hope that WWE would treat him with the sort of prestige that he deserves, that he's accrued over the course of his career so far. He's not the only name apparently on WWE's radar, though. They are reportedly also interested in a pair of women's wrestlers, Karen Q and Rachel Ellering, who of course is no stranger to WWE, having taken part in both Mae Young Classics. And then of course, just before we move on to the next news piece, I should mention the three names that are rumoured to be starting around January: ACH, Trevor Lee, and most recently as well, the news of Jonah Rock, which we reported on a few days ago. So those are 3 indie guys that you might be familiar of if you're a fan of PWG, but they've all appeared in different promotions individually as well. I'm thinking of Trevor Lee's run in the X Division in Impact, for example. They're 3 guys who are 3 of the biggest remaining names, I think, in the North American independent scene, even though Jonah's from Australia. And finally, NXT General Manager William Regal has revealed the NXT Championship match for TakeOver Phoenix the night before the Royal Rumble in January, and that is set to be the current champion Tommaso Ciampa against the man he defeated for the title, Aleister Black. This match might not be shenanigan free because of course Johnny Gargano is lurking there behind the scenes, getting involved when he's not really meant to, and has recently struck up a sort of revived alliance with his old tag partner, Tommaso Ciampa. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. Will he turn, well, he's already turned heel, but will he fully become DIY once again with Ciampa? Will it be a double swerve kind of thing and he's actually been a babyface all along and he'll turn on Ciampa and cost him the match? I'm not too certain. If I had to predict now who was going to win the match, I'd wager that Ciampa will keep the belt, just because I think that Aleister Black's time in NXT is naturally kind of coming to an end in my opinion, and he'd be the perfect surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble the next night. We'll have more updates as more matches are announced for TakeOver Phoenix as and when they are revealed. And yes, stay tuned for those. If it's anything like recent takeovers have proven to be, it should be an excellent show and an excellent start to 2019 for NXT. Thank you very much for watching this news video. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to, at Jack the Jobber. You can follow all of us at Cultaholic, and check out our Patreon as well, patreon.com/Cultaholic. And don't forget, of course, if you haven't already done so, to hit subscribe and to join us.